want to bring in now the HuffPost politics reporter, Sabrina Siddiqui. She has been covering this story closely. Sabrina, nice to see you tonight. And I wonder how new, really, is this new policy?
I don't think it's very new. In fact, most of the proposals that the president announced were fairly modest in scope. He's mentioned before, and he repeated today, his intention to appoint a privacy advocate, a special advocate that would argue on behalf of the people, express constitutional concerns before the FISA court in terms of course, how they authorize the data collection. But he also said that that would only be in significant cases, so on an ad hoc basis. He also, of course, after the whole incident with Chancellor Angela Merkel, said that he's issued new guidance where the United States would not monitor the communications of heads of state in countries that we consider our allies or our close friends, as well as our trading partners, and then said that we should extend safeguards to foreigners and how we collect and monitor their communications. Perhaps the most sweeping proposal, if you want to call it that, was his suggestion to transfer the bulk phone data collection out of the government's custody and into a third-party entity that would arguably be the private sector then, but that's something that would require congressional approval, and it's not entirely clear that lawmakers on Capitol Hill would be comfortable with taking that bulk data collection out of the hands of the NSA and putting it into a third-party entity.
Certainly, there's probably going to be concerns about that as well, even if you have this data and there's a third party, for example, a business all of a sudden that is tracking that data. A lot of Americans aren't going to like that. Do you think what the president said today is going to make Americans by and large happy, or does this just basically keep the status quo for most?
I think for the most part it keeps the status quo. Americans, it is worth pointing out, have raised concerns over the collection of the data to begin with. The fact that they are even collecting in bulk phone records and perhaps monitoring electronic communications as well. So it's not about where those communications are being stored. It's that they're being collected without any apparent link, direct link to a terrorist organization. So he kind of said, instead of collecting data from people who are 3 steps removed or accessing that data, they would reduce it to 2 steps removed from a terrorist organization. But again, it gets at the question as to why everything is being collected in bulk and if it's really necessary to go that far.
It's still a question that people are going to be asking. It's one that the president tried to address in his speech today, but certainly everyone's going to walk away with their own opinion. Thank you so much, Sabrina. We appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.